You're listening to the uMentor Talk Show. I'm your host, Fatima Al Sayed. On this weekly show, we invite experts to take us through the journeys of the professionals in their fields. On today's show, we're excited to welcome Hood and Cape. It's very exciting to be interviewing a cartoon, but not really a cartoon because there's a real person behind Hood. Assalamu alaikum, Hood.
Walaikum assalam, Fatima. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing fine.
Just to let people know, Hood is actually a full-time bioengineering student, PhD student, and she's actually in India right now. So it's like 2 a.m. right now for you.
Yeah, it's 1:30 a.m.
Oh, thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show at 1:30 a.m. You're so generous. I know it must be so hard.
I'm very excited for this. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm very excited to share what we spoke about. It's you have a lot of very interesting perspectives and views. So before we get into the show, can you tell us about your career background as a PhD student?
Yeah, so I did my undergrad in genetic engineering, and right after my undergrad, I joined as a PhD student in the field of bioengineering at
Mhm.
IIT, which is Indian Institute of Technology. And currently, I'm in my second year of PhD. So that's pretty much it.
And as we go throughout the show, since Hood, we're keeping her identity a secret, we're going to be showing a couple comics for you guys to enjoy. So feel free to read those and enjoy them while we're going through the show. Um, Hood, you finished your bachelor's degree as well before this. And what was your bachelor's degree in?
In genetic engineering.
Okay. And how did you get into art and how did you incorporate art with science?
So I've always been into art because I think it's a part of my family background has to do with it, because my father and my grandfather, both of them are they were engineers, and they were also poets and artists. So I've always had this uh, environment at my home that pushed me to pursue both. So like I never really learned science as a course, like sorry, art as a course,
Mhm.
but it always came, as a way to communicate ideas, and the easiest way to communicate ideas for me.
Mhm.
So that's what I use. That's why I use art even right now to communicate both the scientific ideas and understandings to the common people, as well as things that are not so easy to handle in the real
Mhm.
world on my Hood and Cape page on Instagram. So that's what I do with my art. Like it's actually a mode to communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of science and art, there's a lot of cultures that believe that, science and art can't go hand in hand. And you have a very interesting perspective on this. So can you share that with us?
Yeah, so even in India, because we spoke about it earlier,
Mhm.
and you told me it's the same thing there as well.
Yeah.
In India also, there's a kind of hierarchy here that the people who have taken science are considered superior. There's a mental hierarchy among students as well as their
Mm.
parents. So in the society, so even in science, you there's an option to choose mathematics and biology. Like there's an option between both the subjects. So you take physics, chemistry, and mathematics, or physics, chemistry, and biology.
So
So
biology and mathematics can't go hand in hand.
they can, but
Hmm.
that's a special case. Generally, like
Oh,
broadly speaking, these are the two categories.
oh, interesting.
So yeah, so the hierarchy is such that the people who have taken physics, chemistry, and mathematics, they are considered the most intelligent, superior
Hmm.
people. And then comes the people who have taken the group who has taken physics, chemistry, and biology, and then commerce, and then arts. So that's quite weird, but that's the reality in India right now. And uh, I mean that's a sorry, what was your question?
Oh, we're just so you mentioned before that it's just a psychological thing that people go through,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I have a quote here from you that says, "Science is just a methodology to understand phenomena."
yes,
right? If you can
Yes,
expand on that.
yes. Yeah. So the problem here is that science is I don't know what people think of science when they say, because when they talk about science, because they keep science against anything and everything. For example,
Hmm.
God and science, and religion or science, art or science. So the first question that I would ask is, what is science, right? So basically, science is a methodology to understand the natural phenomena,
Hmm.
and that, yeah, which basically over rely on quantitative analysis. So however, to understand natural phenomena, there could be multiple ways, right?
Hmm.
And the basic principle of research is not to close the horizon, to keep your horizon open. Now, the problem here is that we, as Muslims, we consider ourselves to be beings who have a material body as well as soul,
Hmm.
right? And we cannot over rely uh, our understanding on quantitative analysis to really comprehend what we are and what how the natural phenomena work. So if we do that, there comes atheism, right?
Hmm.
So to understand uh, the world in a holistic manner, we have to keep ourselves, our minds open, and
Hmm.
we don't have to restrict ourselves um on purely quantitative analysis, and say that if I cannot quantitatively prove this, therefore this thing does not exist.
Hmm.
Um,
So, what advice
so
do you give to students who are having that debate between, should I go into, um, literature, or should I go into a more sciencey field, basically, or if I
it
should
depends
be
on
become an artist, or.
how that person's aptitude is. So
Hmm.
now this trend is there in India because what I have seen is that people who who do not like science, they are pushed to take science by their parents or by the society, or by because of peer pressure.
Hmm.
So basically, you have an aptitude towards a particular subject, so go ahead with that, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah. So do not pressurize yourself to take a subject just because the society is telling you to do that. uh, if you are interested in that, go
Yeah.
ahead, but if you're not interested in that, do what your where your interest lies.
How did so before we get into Hood, you have also Hood in Science, but it's not an active account right now. But do you plan on expanding that later?
Yeah, I was figuring. I've been figuring out what to do with that account.
Hmm.
So initially, it started as a communication science communication page, but
Hmm.
then I realized that I should talk about research. That people who are aspiring to do research, like a little guide, I would offer a little guidance to them. But then I like it's a mess right now. I do not know what to do with that, but I know that I will do something with that account.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Um, how do you make time to do everything that you're doing? Between your research and your work. Lab work really takes a long time and it takes a lot of effort from you. And then also having time to do your art and do commission work and all of this. How do you do that?
Yes, I'm awake at 1:30 talking to you. So this is how I make time for things that are important. So basically, you first thing is that you don't tell yourself that you don't have time. You
Mhm.
like it's something psychological as well, that if you keep on telling yourself that you don't have time for a certain thing, you will not have time for that,
Mhm.
although you'll waste hours scrolling through the social media,
And you'll
which
be
I do as
overwhelmed
well.
like this graphic on the screen.
Yeah. So yeah, so the second thing is that you have to get your life a little disciplined. That,
Mhm.
for example, what I do is I wake up after Fajr, like I don't sleep after Fajr. So that is the time where I have a lot of time for myself, and as well as I do a lot of art stuff, like work for Hood and Cape. Um, th- Another thing is that um, Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what
Mhm.
I was telling about. Yeah, most of my work that I've done, for example, the Muharram comics, is a
Mhm.
result of the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so there, because of the lockdown, our institute was also shut. So, because of that, I had a lot of time to work for Hood and Cape,
Mhm.
where this page bloomed a lot. So, yeah,
How
that's it.
did how did her Hood and Cape come to life?
So I started this page in 2017 in December,
Mhm.
and the reason was that I I wanted a fem because I'm a woman, therefore a female figure, a hijabi woman who represents obviously a Muslim, to speak something, to convey a message which is positive, because
Mhm.
positivity and Muslim identity was so apart, and because of the tarnished identity of a Muslim, because of the media and uh, all the socio political background that's been going, I needed that to happen because I live
Yeah.
in a non-Muslim dominant area country. So I need because I needed that psychological, something that would fix that image.
Mm.
Then although I did not know how, like in the beginning I did not know how the social media worked, but as I so basically I thought I would get a lot of non-Muslim audience, and they would see that a Muslim a woman is speaking,
Mhm.
spreading a positive message. But that did not happen, because social media works in such a manner that, for example, if a hijabi woman is there, more of the Muslim audience will get attracted to your page, and
Oh,
that
okay.
happened. So a lot of Muslims became my audience. So I shifted the message that I used to convey on my page from a broadly and generally positive message to a
Mhm.
little more Islamic oriented messages.
Mhm.
And then I realized that most of the Muslims that used to follow me were Sunnis, and then I realized that at that point that I need to be more vocal about me being Shia, because I couldn't see any Shia, for example, artist, non-Persian,
Mhm.
non-Farsi, non-Farsi captioned art. So I did that, and now and that's how even Muharram comics came up. So yeah,
Did you
that's
get
the journey.
now before you started the Muharam comics, did you get any backlash on your page? And did that start right after people started seeing
No,
your Shia identity?
I made an illustration before that where I sh- showed like Hood with her husband praying on a praying mat with a turba
Mm.
or a sitrika. So there were people who noticed that. What's that? You know, what like
Why are
what's
you
that
praying
yellow
on a
thing?
rock?
Yeah, no, people didn't even look like pretend that pretended as if they didn't even know what's that, or maybe they did not know what's that. So
Mm.
uh, the messages that used to come was like, what is that yellow circle on the
Mhm.
mat? Or there were random messages that would come, are you Shia? Just
Mhm.
like randomly,
Just
are you
like, "Are you
Shia?
Shia?" Wow.
Yeah.
And then was that the point where you thought, I need to create that representation for the Shia community?
um it came gradually
Mhm.
um because I couldn't see any Shia illustrator out there, and therefore I thought that it is needed, because the message of Ahlul Bayt have to it has to go out.
Mhm.
So you cannot hide that. It's treasure. You cannot hide that. It's unfair with that. Um, so I did that, and also sometimes when you do not find something on in your life, for example, in this case I couldn't find um, a Shia comic or a Shia illustrator out there.
Mhm.
Therefore, I thought that I would do it so that I could fill the space.
Yeah.
This is how it gradually evolved.
Can you tell us about some of your Muharram illustrations?
Um, some of my Muharram, like anyone's, like any one of the illustrations specifically, or
Yeah, like how did you decide what to bring up and what you should really illustrate and shed a light to?
Yeah, so yes, so the thing is that there are a lot of misconceptions regarding Muharram, like in
Hmm.
general, in the non-Shia community. So to clarify those like generally people who have misconception, whether non-Muslims who have against Islam, or non-Shias who have against Shias, they
Yeah.
do not know the background of the incidents, or the thing that is happening, and they randomly throw questions without any
Hmm.
understanding of it. So there's so many backlash on Muharram, like in general, the Matam, the Latmiya, and all of that. And Muharram is generally, equated to bloodshedding rituals. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of, backlash to that. But to answer those questions, you have to
Hmm.
first of all explain people what Muharram is about,
Yeah.
right? Secondly, that what I used to see was that as Muharram started, people used to, non-Shia illustrators, or non-Shia, like the pages who were not who belong to non-Shia
Hmm.
community, used to send greetings on the New Year. So
Yeah.
that's how this idea came up, that
Hmm.
I should at least
Acknowledge
uh,
and bring
yeah,
awareness to
I should,
this.
yeah, bring awareness that what actually happened, because the reality is a lot of non-Shias do not know about Muharram, like
Hmm.
the story of Karbala, that a lot of them do not know.
Yeah. Can you take us through the process of your creative process? So when you start to think about an illustration or a cartoon or a comic that you want to draw, and then to the final product.
Yeah, so it my
I
page
know
is
it's hard.
very, yeah, no, my page is very, it's not about a particular topic. Generally, I
Hmm.
speak about a lot of issues. So
Hmm.
there's something that is bothering me, for example, something that is happening in India, or maybe anywhere around the world, which is bothering me, and I think that I have to like speak about it. Like, it's conscious that you have to speak about it. So
Hmm.
sometimes comics or illustration come up in that manner. Sometimes what happens is that, yeah, something funny that has happened to you. For example, um, there was a comic, like, it might not be with you in the
Hmm.
screen share, but there was a comic which was inspired by my experience as a hijabi.
Mm.
There are a lot of comics that I have made on this like on this note. So uh,
And you found that
to
they
give
resonated
example,
with others?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it resonated with others so much so that there were people who accused me of copying the idea.
Just like this one, the Muharram's only salon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. So this is how basically, and sometimes it happens that, yeah, sometimes I share hadiths or Quranic messages,
Mhm.
so that comes from there. I have to do a little research on that topic. Sometimes, for example, in Muharram comics, I had to do a lot of research. So yeah, I cannot say that there is one particular method, creative method,
Mhm.
to come to a comic or illustration, because my illustrations are so like, they are not monotonous.
Yeah.
They cover a lot of topics.
Mhm.
So
How has Islam helped you on your road to success?
yeah, the thing, well, um, it has a lot to do with that. For to start with, it has to do with the idea of success. So
So how
the
do you
idea of
define
success that
success?
we
Yeah.
have, yeah, the idea of success we have, whether we speak about um, the comic, the social media page, or I
Mhm.
speak about my career as a
Mhm.
researcher. So in both, like, I'll talk about them one by one. For example, as a
Okay.
researcher, the success, the mainstream success, the idea of success is that I'll do, for example, at my PhD, then I'll do postdoc from a good lab, and then I'll get a professor. Like, I'll establish my own lab somewhere, and that's how, like, I'll compete and I'll produce papers, and ultimately I'll get a Nobel Prize. Like, it's the highest stage
Mhm.
of um, being a researcher.
And
So
that's in
it's
the
basically
definition.
money and fame. So,
Yeah,
like, in short, it's about money and fame.
yeah.
So you can put it in any manner. Like, at the end of the day, it comes up to money and fame.
Mhm.
Similarly, on social media, you become like it's the other way around. You become
It's
famous,
followers and likes.
and then brand deals come, and then money follows.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's again money and fame. So that's
Mhm.
how we, even we use this terminology in that context itself. Like, if we say that this person is famous, like this social media page is successful, we look at the number of followers that it has and the
Mhm.
impact it's making.
Yeah.
So this is how we see success. However, Islam, it has a Islam has a very different idea of success. So Islam has um, the concept behind success in Islam is that you, as a human being, you have a great potential to realize in your lifetime. One second, I'll drink water.
Mhm. Go for it. Hmm. And while you guys are watching, you can make sure to just go to our app, the Emoja app, and join in. We have a lot of programs going on within the the Shia professionals uh, page, and you can check out and you can reach out to different mentors through there as well. So make sure to check that out.
Yeah. So I was saying that Islam has a very different concept of success.
Hmm.
In Islam, for example, as far as I have read and listened to scholars, success is that you, as an individual, as a human being, you have an immense potential to achieve,
Hmm.
as in your lifetime, and that can happen when you start to reflect the qualities of God. Like, you start to absorb the qualities of God, and then you reflect that in your personality. So that's a high standard of success.
Yeah.
And that is that's a road which, you know like, there's no limit to that. And there's no limit to you manifesting the qualities of Allah,
Hmm.
right? And the beauty of that path is that is a self-constructive path. Rather, the path that we are pushed to achieve success in this materialistic context is a
Hmm.
self-destructive path. You get a lot of problems, physical, mental, emotional, when you go behind money and fame, right? Whereas if you go behind the success that Islam has, showed you, if you go on that path,
Hmm.
you will find peace in your life, and you'll
Hmm.
find happiness in your life.
Um, so one more question for you is I think a lot of people wonder why you keep your identity a secret, especially with social media being so public and open these days. So if you want to let us know
Yeah,
a little bit on
so
that.
there are multiple reasons for that. First reason is that I have my experience with cyberbullying, and
Hmm.
there's a guy who used to bully a lot of, not just me, a lot of illustrators, Muslim illustrators. So we
Hmm.
all have common experience with that. So that was
Really?
very traumatic. Yeah. So I do not like I want to play safe when it comes to cyber security, because uh, there's a lot of problems there.
Hmm.
Second reason is, because of the activism,
Hmm.
I want to do it, anonymously, because that way you'll be able to speak more. You'll be able
More
to create
freely.
impact more.
Hmm.
Yeah, more freely as well. And
And
the
you've
third
spoken about
thing
a
is
lot
more
of,
personal.
yeah, I was
Sorry.
going to say, you've spoken about a lot of different issues that have happened globally, right?
Yes. So the third reason for me to remain a secret, like anonymous, is
Hmm.
that I do not want to associate my myself, who I am, with hood in a way that I associated fame with myself.
Mhm.
Because you never know, like you never know when Riyakari comes in, right?
Yeah.
So and when that then when that comes in, uh, like your work has no value.
Mhm.
And uh, I fear that one day, like it will happen one day, obviously that will happen one day,
Mhm.
that you will face your imam, and you will present
Inshallah.
your, what you, yeah, it will definitely happen,
Yeah.
that you will, like, either in this world or the next, but that is going to happen, that you have to be answerable, right? You will
Mhm.
face your imam, and you will present what you have done, and then he rejects, and like, no, this is riyakar, this was all you, this was
Mhm.
nothing useful. So it's good to stay away from fame, because that's like walking on the edge of the cliff.
Mhm. Hood, thank you so much for all of your insight. Before we end our show, I wanted to ask you, what is your final piece of advice for our listeners today?
So I'll give I'll speak about both the aspects that I have spoken about in the
Sure.
past half an hour. That is
So that's
my
science.
illustrate, like social media and
Mhm.
illustration, as well as my career related advice, or people who are into science or research or higher education. So for my first advice for the people who are on social media and who are trying to make an impact is that do not get overwhelmed by the numbers. That will happen. You
Mhm.
will feel low at many points in your journey because of the numbers. But you have to keep on telling yourself that it's okay. You have to keep reminding yourself what is the aim of the work you are trying to do on this social media. Because you have to understand that the social media is not in favor of you.
Yeah.
This is not a platform that is the best platform for the followers of Ahlul Bayt.
Mhm.
This is rather, something which is not favorable. This platform is controlled by the people who, you know, might be the enemies of the Imam of the time.
Mhm.
So there will be time there'll be time, because social media is governed by the trends that happen there.
Yeah.
For example, um, now TikTok has come, right?
Mhm.
Reels have come, and there's a lot of music there.
Yeah.
So you never know when you will slip, and
Yeah,
you'll
that's
never
true.
know when, yeah, you'll never know what when your aim will shift
Mhm.
to a god-centric aim, like from a god-centric aim to self-centric aim, because social media is so good at making everything about you.
And pulling you into that.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
you have to keep reminding yourself that again and again, because that will happen. You will feel low.
Mhm.
And my advice for the people who are pursuing higher education
Mhm.
is that um, something on the similar lines, that pursue you have an aim behind pursuing higher education, which is greater than your personal benefits that you will get from that,
Mhm.
right? uh, Always try to be god centric in your approach, because that is the only self constructive path. If your mindset will change from god centric uh, orientation to uh, a self centric path, that becomes destructive, and that's where atheism springs.
Mhm.
So you have to be very careful when you go ahead in your journey.
Thank you so much, Hood. It was lovely to have you and amazing. You've shared so much amazing advice, and we're really happy that you actually really made the time in the middle of the night to do this. So thank you so much.
It was so fun. It was nice talking to you, even prior to the show, and even right now. I mean, you're so nice to talk to.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for your kind words. And thank you for everyone who tuned in. Please tune in every week on YouTube to hear all of our future shows. And don't forget, if you have any questions for our speakers, you can check out the Inspire app. It's a question and answer platform for career advice in our Shia community. And it doesn't have to just be for asking questions to the show, but you have contact with actual professionals who can answer your questions there on the platform. So feel free to ask any questions that you have. You can just go into our speaker questions about the career journey. Sorry, you can just go into the Inspire button on the Emoja app home screen and click the question widget, select the talk show field, and type your question for any guest. You were just listening to the uMentor Talk Show. If you missed this or future shows, you can always hear the replay on the uMentor website under prior talk shows. And please subscribe to our iTunes, SoundCloud podcast so you never miss another show. Make sure to tune in next week at 3 p.m. to hear from our next speaker on the teen edition of the uMentor Talk Show. Umoja Outreach Foundation, uniting and empowering the Shia community.